Take me
so
back
much
to
to me.
2020. You are riding your bike here in New Orleans. And this is during COVID. Everything's locked down. You can't go outside. You can go outside, but you're not supposed to congregate. And there was a group of Christians praying. And you're just biking by. What happened?
So I was on my bike. I knew Sean Foyt, he had told me, I'm going to be in town. I'm singing at this event. And that I found out prior that it was approved. Like he got permits and everything, right? So it was approved by the government here.
But you're outside.
But I'm outside.
I mean,
and 2 weeks later, there was a convention. So I think it's all right. And so I was riding my bike and I get a text from him and he says, don't make me call you up on stage from the microphone. And so I was like, okay, I'll make my way up there, you know. And I walk up and he was like, where's your in-ears? I was like, in-ears? I wasn't planning on singing
I'm audience, baby.
Yeah,
I'm not performing.
Like, what? And so I was like, my bike is right here. I'm just, you know, out to come and see.
Home.
Yeah, what's going on? And he was like, just jump on stage. And I said, okay, great. So I jumped on stage and there were so many police and they had barricades and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, so clearly this is okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Clearly this is okay. And honestly though, it was such a moment to look out. This is the reality, regardless of what media and anybody wants to say, to look out and see so many people that were truly desperate, like actually desperate. People staying in their homes for so long. Finally, the city has started to open. But
they're praying in public.
Yeah, it wasn't like a negative.
Praying in public.
I know.
Which is a constitutional right, the last time I checked.
Yes, it is.
Public assembly and prayer.
Yes.
Praise of God is allowed
Yes.
under the Constitution no matter what.
Yes.
The mayor came out and said, of you, in public, that you placed residents in danger. And then she urged Dick Clark Productions. You were supposed to sing at the Rockin' New Year's Eve celebration from New Orleans. Now, that helps put everything in context because 2 weeks later, they were having a Rockin' New Year's Eve celebration in New Orleans. Meanwhile, she basically wanted to put you in timeout for daring to pray in public 2 weeks earlier.
Yes.
What did you think at that time? They bumped you off the roster. You weren't invited.
Yeah, I was definitely not invited. And I think from that letter, too, she quoted, she's a weapon to society. That was another bit of the vernacular. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I could be that powerful. No, I'm kidding.
You're a weapon, girl.
I was like, oh, wow. But, you know, truth be told, when I saw that come out, I was shocked, to be honest. I was like, wait, you approved of all of this, you know? What? This is kind of strange. And I went home to Lafayette and I got in my parents' bed and I pulled the covers over my head. As an adult, I was like, oh gosh, here we are again. Because there's no amount of public ridicule that is fun. Like, even if it helps your ratings, it's not fun. It isn't. But I learned a lot. I learned so much through that experience.
What did you learn?
What I learned is that when people need an element of hope, coming together is one of the most beautiful things. It is one of the most incredible rights that we have in this country. It is. And I think to take that away from people is so disheartening, especially in a time like that.
Do you feel vindicated? Do you think it's God's hand that all these years later, 5 years later, you're on the biggest stage in New Orleans, representing the city, your state?
It was powerful to see all of the people that came around me during that time. I'll say, you were one of them, the Attorney General's office, the Lieutenant Governor's office. So many people came around and said, hey, this is wrong. What you are doing is wrong. And I remember my lawyer and my team saying, hey, you just watch what happens. You should probably keep your mouth shut. Because I was like, what? This is a lie. Everything she's saying is wrong, you know? And they were like, we advise you just trust the process. Just trust how this unfolds. I had no idea that there were going to be people that stood up for me. So then to see that happen and I just want to thank those people. I want to thank you. I want to thank the people that came in because that was one of the greatest lessons. talk about being taught something was there's this verse in, I think it's in Exodus 14:14. It says, you need to be still, God will fight for you. And a lot of times I want to defend myself. I got that spicy Cajun side. Don't let me fool anybody. Yeah. And so I grew up in a Cajun family, and it is what it is. But I remember thinking, all right, let me say exactly what I need to say. And they're like, no. Be still, God will fight for you. And watching the amount of people that came around and offered truth during that time was really, it was so beautiful. So to get this moment years later, I would say for anybody watching that has had their reputation smeared in any sort of way, and they are just waiting for the moment of vindication, sometimes it only takes 5 years. That's not too long in the scheme of things.
No, that's a pretty short window.
That's a pretty short window. It's a pretty short window. And I've had other opportunities even before this. I'm just saying that to give people hope. It's not fun to have your name smeared. It's not fun to have your reputation smeared. It doesn't feel good. But time will tell.
Yeah.
It will.
People knew you were doing this out of the goodness of your heart. You were praying with people who were suffering. These are your people in your community.
Yes.
And I just thought it was so vindictive for 2 weeks later, then the mayor shows up with other people and they're shaking it at the moonwalk, blocks away from where we are now.
Yes.
And this is normal? It's not normal.
Not normal.
But it is beautiful to see this come full circle for you.
Thank you.
Kind of like the candle on top of the cake.
Yes.
And cool.